Hi, everybody. Leanne Holitza here. It's Mother's Day, so I'm at home.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day. Have a good life.
All right. Give me a thumbs up that you can hear me. Make sure that I'm not talking to the ethers. Tell me if you can hear me. I think I can hear myself. Yes, thank you. All right. All right, you guys, since I'm at home, I'm using the Yantra deck for all of the things today. So I see that you have said me please, so awesome. Let's go ahead and see what the week brings. Okay, well, good fitting for Mother's Day. We start off with love and devotion and being balanced in that. So let yourself kind of start there for the week. What are you devoted to? What are you grounded in? Your helper energy. This is awareness upside down. Being careful what you observe into truth. This has been really going for me, and I'm having like all these sideways relationships with reality because of it. It's paying attention and observing, but only to the extent that you are paying attention and confirming and holding stable the things that you would like to be there. If there's things that you don't want there, then stop giving it so much energy and stop paying so close attention to it, and then give yourself a chance to shift. Okay. And lastly, for the end of the week, we may be feeling a little disconnected. So we start off in a loving space, but by the end of the week, we might have some energy of separation. Now, the advice that has come from the Light Council and the guides about this energy of separation is to be aware that you can, if you engage in conflict that is destructive, then there's going to be a rebuild period before we get to go into abundance. So paying attention to not necessarily being destructive, okay? If there may be conflict, but destruction is different. Clearing out the garden, destruction is fine. All right. Let's do our 1, 2, 3s. Okay, so this is where you're going to get your first card. If you're watching later, this is how you can get your card. If you're watching live, this is your first card too. Okay, so here you go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, just tune in which number you want. Okay, if you picked 1, choices are upside down for you this week. That means that the choices have already been made. Now it's just following through with what's already been decided. Okay. So following through, making sure that you're clarifying that that's what is kind of where the attention is going to go, and you choose it with love. If you've picked 2, you got clarity upside down, which basically is saying that this week is not going to be a very clear week. There's going to be a lot of shallowness to the energy, a lot of unclear space. So just kind of giving yourself the idea that you can spend the time when you're not feeling clear, just nurturing and not getting more mudded. So like nourishing yourself when you're feeling lack of clarity. All the upside down cards. If you picked 3, you're not feeling connected. Okay, so this week might feel like a little bit of a disconnected week. So just kind of feel into the fact that you can connect with yourself. You are always there. Okay. All right. Sounds like this week might be adding a little challenge to our plates, but that's okay. We've got it, right? All right. Let's see here. Stephanie R with the flowers. Here's your first card, or your card for the week, your focus for the week. Okay, practice upside down. Okay, so what are you holding into place that isn't necessarily serving you? What are you trying to maintain a box with that maybe isn't worth preserving? Maybe it's time to do something new. So this is kind of the week of just noticing habits and noticing where you could maybe do something different. Okay. Now, you guys, if we start to see cards 3 times in a row, then we might start talking about that it's a message for all of us. Now, keep in mind that this deck goes 4 directions because it's square. So it also matters which direction it comes in. Okay. Kimberly S. You are actually asked to be very in the present time. Of course, that's true anyways, right? But really paying attention to today, not necessarily tomorrow or yesterday, but really, really paying attention to here and now this week. As often as you can, just get into the now. Always good advice, but particularly important for you this week, okay? Miranda Z. Miranda, you are working with presents upside down. So see how this card is kind of cracked? So when it comes upside down, to me, this card is saying that you're listening too hard. You're overthinking. You're feeling like you have to really listen to all of the details. And this card is basically saying you don't have to listen to the details. And in fact, you might be burning yourself out by listening to the details. So just back off a little bit to what you're paying attention to, okay? Burnout proof. All right. Your intuition is sideways. So what this is saying is you can go ahead and be receptive to your intuition, but your intuition is going to require you to be with it. Okay. So rather than do intuitive things, being with your intuition. What that just means is that you're sitting and you're literally elevating what you're listening to. A little bit past, your own consciousness, a little bit into the ethers, a little bit into the plants and animals, that kind of stuff too. Okay. Diane, you got inhale sideways. So you're working on learning to receive, but doing the act of receiving. So saying thank you, yes, more please, giving yourself the opportunity to really acknowledge where you might be metaphorically holding your breath and let yourself really let that go this week. Being sure to give space to what wants to be given to you. Okay. So you didn't have to earn it and you don't have to transaction it in your head. You just give yourself a little bit of awareness that you might would be restricted in your receiving space. Okay. All right. National Geographic, communication sideways. Okay. So this says being impeccable with your words. Now, sideways, this is basically saying that, again, this is a beingness, right? Be in communication, be with communication, be there with what is being said to you, and don't necessarily go back and forth quickly. Let things sink in. Take a minute to listen. Take a minute for something to make sense before you act on it, okay? Jenny. Okay, you got patience sideways. Okay, and again, this is still a message of be. Okay, so there's a lot of feminine energy of just being with right now. This is patience and being still. This is going to be a week for you to really figure out what that even means and what you're being impatient about and how you might be having a hard time sitting still, because if you sit still, then you catch up with you. Okay, and just see what's going on there. All right, Tanya and Betty Ann. Tanya, you're going to focus this week on integrity, but it's sideways. And yours has actually got a masculine twist. So yours is saying do things that make you appear in your authenticity, in your integrity, in who you truly are. Act in integrity with yourself this week. Really be doing what is you. Okay? Whatever that looks like. Do you. Okay, Betty Ann. Your focus for the week is receiving on the right side up, okay? So kind of like Diane was hearing about being a good receiver. This card on the right side is basically saying this is your time to receive. You've given a lot. You've done a lot. You don't have to give right now. Now the fruits of your labors are coming in. So let that be true right now, okay? All right, Cara, Tatiana, happy Mother's Day to you guys too. Okay, Cara, Grace sideways. Okay, so this is you are being guided, but your guides. Okay, so this is, again, it has a masculine twist to it. And this is basically saying you can be guided, but you're going to be asked to be the ultimate accountable one at the end, right? You can be told by other people, by your guides, by everybody what to do. But in the end, it's your choice about how you're going to do it. And sometimes you really wish somebody else would make the decision and they just won't. Okay. All right, Tatiana, your focus is going to be the breath upside down. If you picked 3 at the beginning, we're doubling down on that. This is basically saying you're going to feel a little disconnected this week, not feeling connected to yourself, not feeling connected to the world. So this card is basically telling you this too shall pass. Okay. Like just remember to connect with yourself. First and foremost, you are the one who is always there for you. Okay. Heidi, you're working with presence right side up. So that is saying you really want to listen. Okay. So you really want to listen to the energies of what is around you. You really listening beyond your ears, though, even listening to the consciousness. Talk to your plants, talk to your animals, all the things. This week will be a good week to just be really, truly present with those extra fields. Okay. Nicole and Addison. Nicole. Okay, you're working with honesty and courageousness. Okay, so this week, what the honesty card basically is saying is be brave enough to tell yourself the truth. It's just basically saying be brave enough to be in the truth of yourself and what that actually means. And, honesty is the best policy anyway, right? Addison, you want to focus on space. Okay, so get yourself some space. Be in that infinity space where you know that you exist and beyond time and space. Go where you feel like you can get away from all the noise and just really have moments to yourself this week, okay? Cynthia, you got clarity upside down. So if you picked 2 at the beginning, it's doubling down. It's basically saying that you're having trouble feeling like that the world is going to be clear. Now, here's the thing about that time period. When you can't go deep, it's a time to just kind of rest, to restore. When you can't get the clarity that it's not there yet, it's just patience. It's just allowing yourself, and sometimes it's just a matter of like, I can't go deeper, so I'm going to clean my closet so that I feel organized when energy does start to move again, that kind of stuff. Okay. Janelle and Donnie. Janelle, you're going to be working with your attitude. It has got a feminine twist to it. So be in your yeses. Okay. Whatever you feel like you can be with, not necessarily do, but just saying yes and being with that yes. Okay. All week long, whatever wants you to say yes. Be aware that your attitude might be first inclined to say no to things, but when you say no, then follow up with what is the yes. Okay. All right, Donnie, you're leaking power, and that's mostly because you're not paying attention consciously to the things that are giving you power. So just be aware of what you're leaking consciousness to. Where are you giving your thoughts away? Where are you giving your energy away? That would be a good time to kind of collect yourself back up again. Okay? All right. Janice, sister of Janelle. Okay, listening. Second time we've seen this upside down. This is where you might be feeling burned out, trying to listen too hard, trying to figure it out, trying to find the answers, overanalyzing, listening to the wrong things. Okay, so be aware that that might be going on this week. And what you can do to shift it would be to just don't respond or react too quickly, but instead to try and quiet those mental fields and give yourself a little space. Okay. Robin, meditation sideways. So this has got a feminine twist to it. So a lot of being this week, you guys. Be mindful. Be with your meditation space. Be in a space where you can kind of comb through the noise. Okay. It's always a good practice, but this week it's going to be especially important for you to focus on the meditative state. Chris, you've got exhaling upside down. You're not surrendering. Okay. So this week, see what you're trying to control. See where you're trying to hold on too tightly, and see where maybe also it's not time for you to give control away to someone else. It might be yours to do. And it's just take a minute to do that this week. Okay. Austin, you're going to be working on being guided. So when this card comes right side up, it's basically telling you to pay attention to synchronicities, the 111s, the 222s, the hawk overhead, the 3 times somebody says, read this book, whatever it is, just kind of really paying attention. The guidance is coming in this week, and it behooves you to really pay attention. Okay. Synchronicities are always there. The universe is always trying to talk, but for you, it's going to be louder this week. Kelly, you've got clarity coming in. So when lots of us are going, not getting deep, you're getting deeper. If you picked 2 at the beginning and you're getting this again, it's basically saying there's a little of both going on. Okay. You're going to get a little clear and you're going to get a little deep with some other topics. So give yourself the spaces. The triangles represent relationships. So pay attention to where you're getting clarity about your relationships, your cooperative spaces, your collaborations, that kind of thing. Matthew. Balance sideways, okay? So it says being in harmony. It's got a masculine energy. It's saying do some things to balance things out, okay? So whatever you've been doing that has been out of balance is now requiring you to make some adjustments and actively do things to bring your life back into harmony, okay? So whatever that means going on a hike, if that means, eating better meals, whatever it is, there's going to be a doing to balance things out. Tiff. Temple sideways. This is masculine instructions of taking care of your physical body. Okay. So similar to what Matthew just heard, you're going to want to do some things to make your body happy. Okay. So it's focusing on the physical form, food, water, sunshine, rest, exercise, that kind of thing. Okay. Hannah, Linda, and Patty. Hannah, you have some wisdom coming in. This wisdom is different than intellect, okay? So wisdom, you just know it's true. It just is integrated in. So really be in your wisdom this week. Be in your truth. Be in what you know to be true. You don't necessarily have to learn this week. You already just know, okay? You're just going to have to see what that means. Linda, bliss, okay, sideways. Okay, so this has got a feminine aspect, and so this is being in your bliss, being with your oneness, being with your relationships that make you feel blissful, being in your relationship with yourself. This is a good week for you to really pay attention to what might be causing disharmony and stepping away from it. Patty, you got blessings sideways. Okay, so this has a masculine aspect to it, and this is actively asking you to take in your blessings, receive them, acknowledge them. Lots of, acknowledgement and gratitude, if that makes sense. Yeah. So you just want to kind of pay attention to that this week before you give yourself the opportunity to be a better receiver by saying, yes, I will take that in. Denise, you got devotion upside down. Okay. So we got it right side up for our number 1 card, or this starting the week, but devotion upside down is saying to you that you're maybe not necessarily taking action out of love, and the things that you've been devoted to might not be serving you anymore. So this would be a good week to really just acknowledge what you want to devote your energy to and make sure it's done out of love for yourself first and foremost. Okay. All right, Taryn, your card is balance upside down. So this is a week where you're going to feel really out of balance. Okay. And the times when we feel out of balance, sometimes all there is to do is just acknowledge what you would like to come next and bank those desires. Okay. So sometimes our contrast of things not being in balance gives us a better understanding of what we need to stay in balance. Okay. Elizabeth, you've got blessing sideways. Okay. So this is similar to Patty's message, which is being and receiving, counting your blessings, celebrating early and often, giving yourself the chance to really say, yep, that works for me. I like that very much. That actually was really nice to receive. And be sure to receive when it's being put down, whatever that is. Sometimes we say no, especially like compliments and stuff. Sometimes we're like, oh, thank you, but no. Right. But this is a good week to be just like, thank you. All right, Christy, Kara, and Finn. Christy, you've got gratitude upside down. Okay, so this is going to be a week where it may be hard to see what the gift is right now. Now, again, similar to, being out of balance, you're banking your desires. You're starting to understand that what you want to be there isn't there right now, but the contrast of it not being there helps you clarify your desires. And it's okay to clarify your desires because then you can ask the universe for assistance with them when it does finally come clear. But this week, just acknowledge that it's going to be hard for you just to be like, oh, thank you. Just this week, it'll pass. Kira, you're going to work on letting go and forgiveness. I really like to see this card as saying to you, nothing as bad has happened. Nothing has gone wrong. You simply have received your lessons and you've received what's going on in a way that just helps you let it go. Okay, so focus on letting go. Finn, you've got creativity sideways. This has got a feminine aspect to it. So being with your creativity, be the instrument of your creativity. Recognize where you have been putting off your creativity because you've been too busy doing. Sometimes you have to sit and just be first in order to get that creativity flowing again. Eli, you are working with attention sideways, being here and now. Okay, so what this is, again, got the feminine energy, lots of feminine energy this week, you guys, of being in the present moment. Okay, so stopping and doing nothing helps you really get where you need to go. Okay, all right, Lisa C. Okay, you got surrender sideways. With it has a masculine twist. So doing things actively to allow yourself to let things in, okay? To allow things to be there. Literally like an act of stepping aside and being like, okay, I'm going to do a step aside. I'm going to do a surrendering act by not necessarily responding, okay? So this week, do the surrender. I know that, again, you guys, you're going to have to just let these messages resonate throughout the week. We're talking about the week, so it may not be clear today. It might take a couple days to show you what's up. Okay, seriously wonderful. Exhale upside down. Okay, so what are you trying to control too much of? That's the second time we've seen this card. What are you trying to do that's causing you to not surrender? What are you not actually required to surrender? Maybe it's yours to do. Just recognizing the clench that you got going on this week and what you want to do with that clench. Okay. Okay. And seriously wonderful. You asked for Lori as well. Me pleasing for Lori. Lori, you're going to work on preserving what is working. Okay. Creating containers for the things that you love. Be sure to make room for it. Be sure to spend time with it and firm it and be present with it. Okay. Aaron T, you've got exhale sideways, okay, and this has a masculine twist, okay, so this is doing surrender, okay, doing what you need to kind of let the clench go. Maybe sometimes I find it helpful to clench first and then let go, okay, so just give yourself an awareness of where you could do that more in your life, what you're grabbing too tightly, then you could kind of do the act of surrender, okay? All right, eat 100 foods. You've got devotion sideways, and it's got a masculine twist to it. So it's saying do devoted things, do the action, and give yourself the awareness that you can give yourself a little bit more space as far as getting those things done, okay? And I'm getting close to the end of the me pleases, but I have about 6 minutes left with you guys. So if you're still hanging out and you haven't said me please, that's how you'll get a card. Okay. All right. So Andrea H, you are getting the card mirror. Okay. So if you're not seeing yourself in your environment this week, if you're not seeing your own reflection, it's a good week to sit with yourself and say, where am I in the mix of this? And why does this feel like it's not in alignment with my genuine self? And how did I get here? And then give yourself a moment to just kind of make some notes. It may not be clear this week, okay? The mirror card upside down may be that this week is just a contrasting week of I don't know who the heck I am or where I am. And then that will help you find your way back later, okay? Amber A, you've got transformation sideways. So you are evolving, but it's got a masculine aspect to it. So it's saying do things to transform, do things to evolve this week. What can you do to take just baby steps forward? You may feel like you're in a labyrinth. You may feel like you're not making progress, but if you just continue to take those steps forward, it will eventually make yourself move forward. You can't not change, right? All right, Sam, you got courage, being greater. Okay, this is a card that also came up earlier, this card is basically saying, be brave enough to tell yourself the truth. Okay. Be courageous enough to say, I, will make the changes that I need to make within myself in order to see what's shifting, what's changing, what wants to be alive in my world. Okay. All right, Marita, hi. Your focus this week is on emotional blocks. Okay. So emotions upside down, it is basically saying that there's some emotional energy that has not been allowed to move through you. And this week, it might be really loud. Now, emotional energy that doesn't move through often comes in as loud physical ailments. Okay. So I'm telling you guys, we're in the age of Chat GPT and AI. So if you have an ailment, you just type in what's the spiritual meaning of blah and see if it resonates, see if it works for you. Because when the emotional energy is blocked, it starts to find any way it can to move through. It's also sometimes where you spiral into patterns where you're like, oh, here I am again. So this week, just acknowledging that you might be accidentally spiraling into a pattern and that your emotion, it's because you're not allowing your emotions full range. Okay. Emotions like to move. All right. If you're still hanging out and you haven't said me please and you would like a card, feel free. I'm going to do a card for Matt. Matt, you got happiness sideways. What this card says at the top is being your own source. Now this has a masculine aspect to it. It says move into making yourself very aware that you're in charge of your own happiness, that you are the source of your own happiness. Putting an external spin on it is only just causing you to feel disempowered. So be sure to give yourself the act of making yourself happy. All right, you guys, if you're still out there, thanks for hanging with me for this time period. We didn't really get any 3 times the charm, but there's so many ways that this card really, these cards really play out. So if you're still out there and that you haven't me pleased me, feel free to do that. I'll get you a card, but let's just see if we can play out a couple of let's see if I'm going to throw a few more cards to see what the themes might be this week to focus on. Okay. So we got, okay, so focus and being centered. Now this card is in a masculine aspect. So it's saying that all of us could really work on how we're focusing on things. Okay. Be centered in what you want to be true. We're paying a lot of attention to what we don't want. And that is giving us a lot of information about what we do want. But this card now is saying it's time to focus. It's time to focus on what you do want. Give yourself that time and space. Also getting communication sideways. This is about being impeccable. There's a feminine aspect to this one. So feminine energy is about being with communication, listening, pausing. Don't try and have both sides of the conversation already queued up inside yourself. Actually say what your piece is and then let someone else have their genuine response rather than you try to control it. Okay. And balance. Okay. So being in harmony with yourself this week. So as you focus on what you want and you listen and communicate with what you want, you will begin to bring harmony in your relationships and in your space. So give yourself that time, that energy. And when you feel like you're ready to really step into your creation space again, which may not be this week, just based on what I'm kind of filling out with these cards, then you'll be ready to go when it's time. It may not be this week though. Okay. So give it a little bit, give it a little space, and let's see what happens. All right. Happy Mother's Day to you mothers out there. I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of the week. And I will be here next week, same time, same place. If you haven't already, you can hit subscribe. And if you hit the bell button, it will tell you when I go live. And I appreciate you all. Bye.